Hello, everyone. You're watching the ROSports show. I'm Deon Cranford, and today we're going to be talking about some baseball and local baseball and softball action that's going on. We've got a few coaches with us joining us. Our show this evening is brought to you by Richmond Community College, so we want to thank them for sponsoring this episode of the ROSports show. With me today is Neil Smith, Robert Ramos, and Jamie Dover. They're coaching some of the programs in the area. And we're kind of parked all over the place. I know a couple of y'all are located in Scotland County and one of you is in Hope County, but you kind of have kids from all over the region. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your teams. And we'll start with Robert, if you want to start off with your program and tell us a little bit about yourself and your program.
Yes, I'm the head coach of USA Titans Elite. We practice out of Laurel Hill, North Carolina. We have girls from Scotland County, Richmond County, Marlborough County, Robeson County, Harnett County, and actually some from the Clinton area as well. We're a developmental team. I don't really like calling ourselves travel ball team. We just kind of use travel ball as an outlet to kind of see what we're working on and see where we're at. Eventually, our main goal is showcase, and everything we're doing right now is trying to prepare the girls for showcase ball. For those that want to pursue playing ball in college and whatnot. There's really a whole lot to say about us. We do pretty well when we compete. We put in a lot of work, a lot of practice, a few times a week, working. I try to implement, everything that we do, we try to do at a professional level. We've been pretty successful with that. I introduced them to a lot of college players, pro players. And they're a real good group of girls, and we're proud of them. And hopefully, a lot of the girls we'll get to see playing at the varsity level soon too. So
now, and most of your girls are probably around middle school to about 9th or 10th grade. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're a 05, 06 team. We actually have a 07 girl. We kind of mix it up. We play 14U and we jump up into high school. We do that evenly because we do have a couple. We have two girls that are seniors, and so we rotate so they can play as well. But yeah, we flip flop between 14 and high school.
Good deal. Now, stepping down to Coach Smith, Neil Smith's with us. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your program?
Yes, sir. Neil Smith. I'm with the Knockouts Carricker program, coach alongside of Ryan Carricker. Ryan is actually based out of Rockingham. We run our practices out of Laurinburg. Optimus Park is gracious enough to let us use their facilities to practice. Our girls consist of all high school age. Although we do have one 7th grader that is venturing with us this summer schedule to kind of get her feet wet a little bit. But most of our girls are rising sophomores, rising juniors. We do have 3 committed kids. 1 is a junior and 2 will actually be leaving us in a couple of weeks, actually, to start their career at the college level. We are, as Robert said, kind of a developmental team that's doing our part to prepare our kids to play at the next level. I was blessed enough to be able to be a volunteer assistant coach under Coach Brittany Bennett at UNC Pembroke. So I've coached all the way from 8U all the way up to the D2 college level. And we along with Robert, try to do things the right way, try to teach them how the game's played at the next level, and do our part to try to help those college coaches out so they don't have as much to try to prepare them for at that level. I also coach at our high school here at Scotland.
Good deal. And Coach Dover, you want to tell us a little bit about your program?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm Jamie Dover. I'm in the North Carolina and Tennessee organization. We're based out of Hope County. We practice in Rayford most of the time. Our organization, of course, is led by Kevin O'Donnell out of New Jersey. It's a national organization, and we're the North Carolina chapter of that. And of course, here locally, we have an 8U team, 8 and under team. We're planning to add a 10U team soon. We have two 12U teams, a 14U team, and 2 high school teams. And of course, I coach one of the high school teams. And like Neil said, we're doing pretty much the same thing they're doing for the most part. We play a lot of showcase tournaments like he does. We do play some competitive trophy tournaments. Again, the real focus is really trying to promote a good softball environment, a good culture, trying to focus on the girls' individual skills, improving those, promoting good sportsmanship, of course, helping the girls as they, build high character, high moral standards, that type of thing. And of course, they just love to play ball. And we do have players that are out of Scotland, Robinson, Richmond, Hoke, and Sampson County currently on our team. So we just that's really about it. Just based out of Rayford, and just have a great group of parents, great group of children, or young ladies rather, that love to play ball.
That sounds really good. Now, you've all kind of spoken about tournaments and things that you're participating in. Since coming back to sports after this kind of dead period due to the coronavirus, have you found a lot of opportunities? Are you all getting a chance to play? I mean, any one of y'all can chime in on that.
Yeah, we could play every weekend if we wanted to. We try to be a little selective on the tournaments that we go to. Of course, like everybody else, we're a little gun shy, not real sure what to expect. Want to try to avoid as many people as possible. But the tournaments that we've been in thus far, the directors have done a outstanding job of really trying to put these things together in a safe environment for not only the players and the coaches, but also the families, fans that come out and watch. Everybody's kind of doing this stuff on the fly. Nobody's really had any experience with it. So, at least from our lines of travel, I know we've played in some of the same tournaments that Jamie's played in. I think the tournament directors are doing as best as you could expect, with what they've been given to try to get us back on the field in a safe environment.
Okay. Yeah, I'll echo what Neil said as well. I mean, we've been fortunate, like he said, to play in several tournaments. And again, the directors have done a great job of making sure we space people out and we take the proper precautions, that type of thing. And I think Neil would agree, too, it's been more challenging this year than it has been in the past because there's so many locations shut down now. But those that are open, they've done a really good job, though. They've done a great job and providing a healthy environment for us. And we're very appreciative of that.
Engineering influences every aspect of our lives, from the cars we drive to the computers we use. Every modern convenience we enjoy is a direct result of the innovative work of engineers and technicians. At Richmond Community College, we are educating the next generation who will be maintaining or improving upon these products and services. Our students work with programmable logic controllers, experiment with solar energy, design and create objects with a 3-dimensional printer, and operate cutting-edge machinery. Students can choose from a number of programs such as mechatronics, welding, mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, electric utility substation and relay technology, and industrial systems. Programs that equip our students with skills for 21st century jobs. Innovative and progressive, Richmond Community College is committed to building a brighter future for its students and the communities it serves in Richmond and Scotland counties. Visit our website today.
I was Charles Smith with the Scotland Bombers a few weeks ago about some tournaments they were participating in, and a couple of his players actually got to speak with me. And one of the things that they kind of mentioned was the fact that they're actually having to stand outside the dugout and outside the fence. I mean, are y'all having that as well, or are y'all kind of allowing players into the dugout now?
The ones we've done, it's been kind of business as usual for us. I know early on, that's kind of a couple of tournaments that we did. They didn't want a lot of players in the dugout, but we get done playing and their, I guess, facilities folks or whatever are spraying the dugouts down with whatever it is that they're using now. But trying to keep it as clean and safe as possible. So yeah, the last tournament we played in, we were all in the dugout. It was just like a regular tournament.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious of some of the safety precautions they have at the events, because I know that that's kind of outside of your ability to control. You can control what you do in practice and that kind of thing. So, I mean, do any of y'all want to kind of speak on maybe some of the things you're doing in your practices that are kind of helping with safety? I mean, I imagine these girls are around each other all the time, so it's not like it's not like it's something that you're probably having to put a huge emphasis on, because I mean, you know, you can sit there and keep them as distant as possible in practice, but as soon as practice is over, they're pretty much going to be, you know, friends and business as usual on the friendship side of thing, and it's not going to really make much of a difference, I don't think. So what are some of the things you're doing?
To your point, yeah, we actually had to take a considerable amount of time off. I'm sure Robert and Neil did as well from even practicing. I don't know the exact time frame, maybe a couple months, something like that. We took off. We've been practicing as a team. Then once we got together, we had to, of course, keep reinforcing to the girls. Let's keep our distance. Let's get a practice in. Your parents have been, you know, supportive enough. Let you come out here. Let's make sure you maintain distance. And of course, I'm sure Neil and Robert will say once you get together and start playing, you know, you still try to limit it, but you know, you're on the field, it's tough to you know, keep them within 6 feet or, you know, that type of thing. But we're more cognizant of it. So of course, we're all trying to do the best we can. But I do know some of the events we're at, they do try to limit the number of spectators on each side, and of course, you know, they try to make sure they stay within their families and spread out some for the most part. But as Neil said, you know, it's not an exact science by any means. Yeah,
and Robert, I'll bring you into this one because I've actually been to a couple of your practices and met some of your players, and you know, and as a lot of coaches on many of these teams, you have kids that play on the teams as well. So you've kind of got experience on both ends of this, but with the scholastic sports being canceled in the spring and there being such a long dead period, what did some of your girls do during that dead period at home to try to stay in shape and stay, you know, with their techniques and everything, keep them up?
Yeah, we actually have the girls have homework that they do with the team as well. You know, I try to preach, you know, team practice is team practice. You know, individual practice is something that, you know, you got to be working on, you know, every day, every other day. So that's something, and the parents are good about sending me videos and pictures of the girls working at home. You know, normally what I see in practice or what I see in games, you know, because I'm 100% honest with parents and players, and whatever I see, you know, I tell them, and so I send them home with homework all the time. Hey, this is what you got to work on. This is what I want to see, and the parents do a pretty good job of, you know, kind of showing me, hey, you know, they are working. So that's one of the good things that I like about the group that I have. You know, they're dedicated, and if there's something that they need to work on, they're working on it. So I'm real proud of that.
Yeah, and Coach Smith and Coach Dover, I know I actually know parents of girls that play for both of your teams. That's kind of how I reached out to you and got in touch with you. So, you know, I know, you know, a little bit about your programs, but tell us a little bit about and some of the girls that you have on those teams. And I mean, they're diehards. I mean, they're in it, you know, all in it. So tell us a little bit about some of what your girls did during that downtime to you know, keep their techniques up and stay in shape and that kind of thing.
Jamie, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, my girls, they basically, this is something they were doing during COVID, and of course they do it even today, is that they have a minimum standard that's required each week to be on our team. Minimum things they have to do at home. They have to send me a text by the end of each week, each Friday evening, of what they've done, and they know that I hold them accountable. So they do that, a lot of hitting off tees, a lot of soft toss, a lot of parents pitching balls, that type of thing, of course, workouts as well. And our girls are pretty faithful. As Neil, I'm sure Neil will tell you the same thing, and Robert is, the girls want to be here. This isn't something where someone's making them be there. They want to be here, so they have high goals. So they know that we're there to help them. And, of course, we have high standards. And, of course, to be on our team, you have to meet those standards. You need to find someone else to play if you don't. I mean, it's just that cut and dry. And, you know, one thing I'll say before I turn it back over to Neil here, but one thing that I try to really stress to the girls is you need to thank your parents, because they put quite a bit of a time commitment in this, a lot of financial commitment. And there's a lot of girls who love to be in your place right now. We're doing what you're doing right now. And and maybe they don't have the talent, maybe they're not as fortunate as you are to have the financial means or the time commitment from their parents. But we really put a lot of emphasis on thanking our parents for allowing them to be out there.
Kind of echoing what both of them have already said. One of the things that we tried to use this as an opportunity for was growth. I mentioned earlier about trying to prepare these kids for the next level. One of the things that you'll find in probably most college programs is something that they call accountability partners, where the coaching staff is not really going to hold that player accountable for things that go on, whether it's them getting their work in or classroom work or what have you. So we use this as an opportunity for our girls. We assigned accountability partners, and they had to video each other. They had to video chat, kind of like we're doing right now, with each other, working out, making sure that they're doing what they need to do. And your team is only as strong as your weakest link. Like Jamie said, if they're not willing to put the work in, then we've got they're lined up at the door. There are people that want to come play this game. It's a great game, and you got to put the work in to get to that next level. So we did, we would do accountability partners. We actually would do team Zoom meetings. So trying to use the technology that's out there just to keep in contact with each other. Blast motion sensors, video swing analysis, that type stuff. Girls videotape themselves taking, BP, swinging off the tee or what have you. Send it to us. We can look at it, say, hey, you're doing this or that, or work on this or that. So, like I said, the Jamie and Robert are both doing the same thing. We're just trying to deal with the hand that we're dealt and make the best out of the situation. I always tell my players, life throws you lemons, you make lemonade out of it. Do what you can to make a positive out of it.
And Deon, I'll say one quick thing as well, if I don't mind, to piggyback on what Neil said. I hate to interrupt you, but one thing that he reminded me as well is it's been, without me playing ball, it sort of is in the back of my mind. But one thing I will say that I really like the fact that Neil mentioned Zoom meetings, that type of thing, because we did that. That's really been a great thing. And one thing we were fortunate with as well, like I mentioned earlier, is that being part of Intensity, of course, Kevin O'Donnell leads the organization out of New Jersey, and we had different Zoom meetings each day for a couple of months, from Monday through Sunday. He'd have different things from video and actual live hitting lessons, hitting sessions, have pitching sessions, nutrition sessions, workout sessions, yoga. Each night it was something different, and we were really fortunate because on Sunday evenings, he and then of course Justin Womack, who's our local, he's our organization here locally out of Rayford, Justin Womack. He coordinated with Kevin O'Donnell, and we actually had the U.S. women national soccer teams. The nutritionist for their team came and spoke about an hour and a half one night on Zoom to about 100 girls in the organization. They had different people that were like Division I college players who played with Intensity would come and speak. And so, like Neil said, we really use Zoom to our advantage. So great point, Neil. Thanks for bringing that up.
Well, and I will say this, you both brought up parents and their commitments, but I'm going to tell you right now, some of these parents seem more involved than the actual girls do, because I know when we were in this downtime, some of them were losing their minds, not having something to do every weekend and these trips to make. And I think it's just it's not only so much committing to them, it's just become part of their way of life. And they were really missing that. So there's a few parents I was talking to that just were so glad to have this back. So I was going to kind of jump down now, going back to, I mentioned scholastic sports getting canceled in the spring. Do you think that put a lot more importance on what you guys do? Because with that element missing, it may have affected a lot of the opportunities that these players get. So do you think that's put more emphasis on, the programs that y'all run in terms of getting them looks?
I wear two hats because I coach at the high school as well. But what I've found is that at least for the softball aspect of things, because of the recruiting rules that the NCAA has in place to limit the number of times that a coach could go out actively recruiting off of their school campus, most of the time, the recruiting side has historically just kind of been done with travel ball anyway. High school is kind of, it's extra at bats. what I found with our program is that we were, coming back on it, we were a little rusty because they're not getting those 100, 150 at bats that they're able to get, and that work that, our high schools, we're all pretty much all of our girls are playing right here in the Sandhills Conference. They get a ton of work in these programs because this is some stout softball in this area. If you've never gone out and watched, Scotland Richmond, Scotland Hoke, all of those teams that's some pretty powerhouse teams that historically do really well in the state tournament. So, not having those girls exposed to the coaching staffs around here at our high school level, they missed out on a lot of opportunities that, at least, from our perspective, it felt like that we had more work that we had to do. Practices become more intense and more, a little bit longer than what they may historically have been, because those kids now aren't getting those, 100 ground balls at practice 3 or 4 times a week.
Neil, you hit the nail on the head with that, because we discussed that same thing. It seems like that was the biggest thing, because in high school season, they're getting 5 days, at least 5 days a week with you either at practice or indoor games. And I was told that when that happened, coming into the actual showcase and travel softball season, people said pitchers will be ahead of the hitters, hitters will be behind. I thought, no, I don't know. We'll be okay hitting, but that has been in our experience, anyway, has been the case. Our hitting has been lagging behind the pitching. How about you? Y'all seen the same thing?
It depends on what tournament it is.
Or game by game, right?
Game by game, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get off of the whole, the time off and the coronavirus and all that, and kind of talk about what you have coming up. I mean, tell us, maybe each of you talk a little bit about maybe some tournaments you have coming up that you're preparing for, or some events or anything like that going on in the near future. I know, school's getting ready to start back in whatever format that school is getting ready to start back in, and I don't know how that's going to impact your programs and what all you're doing, but just tell us a little bit about what you got coming up.
You go first, Robert? Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, we don't have too much scheduled at the moment. I do know we're going to Florida to play later on in the season. We've got a couple free tournaments that we won that we're thinking about playing. We've been playing locally for a while, and the girls are kind of burnt out playing the same teams over and over. So we're kind of venturing out, down in South Carolina, trying to get away from, normally we're paying to play the same teams that we could play for free in a scrimmage somewhere. So we're trying to get away, to get away and, see some different teams and some better competition and things of that nature. So,
yeah, like driving to Loris and playing Jamie. I mean, really?
Exactly.
Come on.
you made a comment. You got the same comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this in the backyard for free. Yeah.
Exactly. But
go ahead. You go next, Neil. Go ahead, Neil.
One of the things that we're actually part of a larger organization as well is the Knockouts. That's operated by Ricky Martinez. They're based out of the Asheboro area. Ricky's probably been doing this for 20 years, if not more than that. So we have organizations kind of like Jamie's organization, kind of from 8U all the way up to 18U, spread throughout the state of North Carolina. One of the things that we're kind of shifting gears and maneuvering to is some organizational hosted college camps, to where we're actually having college coaches come in working specifically with our teams, because that's one of the things historically we've been we would focus a lot on showcase, but those tournaments are fairly expensive, so we want to be good stewards of our parents' money, and if the coaches are not out and about, then is it really financially responsible for us spending $1,500 or more for a tournament, and there's no coaches going to be there, and we're ultimately trying to get those kids seen. So we're kind of shifting gears in the fall to do more team camp type things. and then we're just kind of keeping our hand on the pulse of the whole showcase venture. And whenever coaches start coming out, and we're going to start venturing out and expanding our schedule back to more traditional type stuff.
I'll say the same here as well. We do have some, of course, some of the cities and communities don't really have their schedules posted yet because of COVID restrictions. Like Neil knows, we usually play some of your high-level showcase tournaments actually in our backyard in Raleigh. So right now, they're not going to allow to play there until at least September, the minimum, the earliest. But we do have, like Neil and I'm sure Robert, we have some tournaments coming up in Rock Hill, South Carolina coming up. We have some in some up like Raleigh. Hopefully it opens up some other areas for some several showcases. And I'm sure that Robert, I know Neil does as well, plays where the actual college coaches actually coach the players during the games. We've had one of those already. We have several of those come up in the fall as well. So we just sit back. There's usually 4 college coaches at least on one field coaching your team. And, of course, the other team as well, so they get a first-hand look of your players. So that really gets them a lot of exposure there. So we have several of those planned in the fall as well.
And one thing I'll piggyback on what Jamie said. One thing that I want to take an opportunity to bring out is that, a lot of focus gets put on skill, talent. Talent is good, but it's the recruiting side of things is more about, the talent's going to take care of itself. The talent's going to attract that coach over to that particular field or player or team or whatever. But it's how that player now interacts and how they're able to build that relationship with that college coach. Because, college softball is, you're around the coaching staff and the players a lot. A lot. And as a coach, you want to make sure that you're going to mesh with the players that you're getting. So the whole recruiting process is not only just about the talent, but it's also about being able to build and develop those relationships. And I will take this opportunity to make a plug that it also bleeds over to the parent as well. So the coaches are looking at the big picture of not only that player's talent, but grades, academics, extracurricular activities, social media. For all the players that are listening to this, watch what you post on social media. It has an impact. I just saw a post from a coach that they de-offered, I guess if that's a word, an offer that they had on the table for a player because of a social media post. So, and Robert and Jamie both, they talk about all of this in the programs, because all of it's important. It's not just about how far I hit the ball or how fast I throw the ball. It's about, am I a good person? Am I a good student? Am I going to make the right decision so I don't look bad on this college and this college coach? So I felt like that was something important to interject at this point in time that we hadn't really talked about yet.
And Neil, one more thing real quick, Deon, on that, to get back on that, Neil, is that, of course, we always tell our girls, be who you are, don't be fake. But, of course, like Neil said, the college coaches watch you. When you get out of the car, when you get to the ballpark, you get out of the car, till you get back in the car. I had one coach tell me that, thank goodness it wasn't from our team, but he said, I saw one player get out of the car and they were rude to their grandparents. We marked them off our list. We saw one player, their parent was carrying their bag for them. We marked them off our list. I mean, it's little things. It seems like it's not little things, but it's things like that. Like Neil said, it's not just about what's in the ball field. It's about a lot more, because there's 10 more ball players out there just as good as you or better. So they look for the extra things that Neil mentioned. So great point, Neil.
All right, so we talked about a lot of counties: Scotland, Robinson, Richmond, Sampson, Cumberland, Marlboro, all sorts of places. So you're looking. There's parents out there that may be interested in getting their young girls started into some of these clubs and getting this kind of experience and exposure. What's your pitch? What do you tell them to do? Where's a good starting point?
You talking about Robert, the younger crowd? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Focus on fundamentals and mechanics. if you can find someone who gives defensive lessons or pitching lessons or batting lessons or whatever it may be, that's key. Just one thing that I've seen over the years is a lot of softball was getting away from the defensive standpoint. Now it's about how hard you hit home run. People love home runs. Home run sells tickets. Home run sells games. But defensively, it just seems like nobody's teaching the proper way anymore. And I've been involved with travel ball for 20 years, and used to, I mean, it just ball games came down to absolute defense, and it just seems like it's gotten away from that. So, I wish we had more instructors in the area that would give lessons, teach the proper mechanics and things. And but I'm just not seeing it anymore, and that's one of the things that that I try to preach real hard in practice, because we're defense minded, and the bats come around, the girls get older, they get stronger, they get faster, but one thing we got to do, we got to play good defense. And so we do our best. I try to bring in people that kind of help with that. But for the younger group, just defense start. The bats will come along. You don't got to spend $500 on a bat. If you're a good hitter, you got good eye-hand coordination, you're gonna hit the ball. Any old bat will work. You get better, get you a better bat. But just stick to the defense part of the ball, fielding, throwing, catching, all those things. That's one thing I would like to see more of, and that's what I encourage anybody that that's just getting started. Hey, build a defense. Everything else is gonna come.
I think one thing that's really key is getting a lot of reps at an early age, and our rec programs are a foundation for that. But I try to get the child in travel ball as soon as possible. I know a lot of children don't start around maybe 9-year-old, 10-year-old possibly, but the travel ball season lasts several more months, so it's really a good time. And I had a coach tell me one time the key is getting a lot of reps in. And if you're a developing pitcher, they said find the worst team you can find, and they'll pitch you all the time. You can pitch a lot in, and that's how you develop. So I've heard that. I don't know if that's totally true or not, but anyway, just really try to get with a good travel organization, someone who has coaches that teach the proper fundamentals, and just get a lot of reps in by playing a lot of games, a lot of practices with that organization.
Yeah, early on, I agree both with Robert and Jamie. I think catching and throwing is the basic fundamentals that you got to start with at this game. If you can't catch and you can't throw, it's kind of difficult to be successful at a high level. And believe it or not, we've got some high level athletes that was difficult for them to make an adjustment to be able to throw more efficiently and effectively and that type thing. I may be different than most of the other two coaches on here, but at a younger age, I don't know that I would necessarily play as much as some of these younger teams are doing. Do what both of the coaches said and focus on fundamentals. Break your practices down to where you're able to be laser focused on that particular skill set that you're trying to develop. It's real difficult to do that in a game. As a coach, the game is kind of kind of our time off, really. To where we just kind of sit back and say, "Here, go at it," and you gather the fruits of your reward. What we've done in practice shows up in the game. As a coaching staff, we're not, hey, move your hands here or step here or do this. At the game, they just need to go play. So from a younger age standpoint, I would definitely follow up on what Robert and Jamie both said about fundamentals, and I would take a different approach and maybe only play one time a month. I know that's kind of, that's kind of a little out there for travel ball coaches because everybody wants to be on the field, but I think especially at a younger age, because one of the things that I'm starting to see a lot of, I don't know if Jamie and Robert are starting to see it, is that, we're starting to see across the board some injuries that are popping up. Used to the kind of the thought was, there was no, we don't deal with any pitch counts or innings limits or anything like that baseball deals with. And it's like, my pitcher can throw all day. But, as these girls get older, this stuff starts creeping up a little bit. And I'm wondering, I don't have any proof to the pudding, so to speak, but I'm just wondering how much of it, especially at the older age, 18U, are the injuries that we're seeing, are they actually coming from when that kid played 3 weekends out of the month at 12 years old? That would be kind of where I would suggest a younger age group may start looking at. Not play so much, but focus on the fundies.
Yeah, going back to what Robert was talking about with good defense, everybody wants to be that star as well. You want to be that star pitcher, you want to be that star hitter, and defense. I was interviewing a baseball coach one time, and he was talking about his career, and he said his most heartbreaking losses, when he goes back and think about it, there was that one error, that one mistake that he can pretty much say that won or lost him that game. And so playing, fielding cleanly, throwing cleanly. I mean, it's something that, from the outside looking in, you're not thinking that much about, because you're always thinking about the swing of the bat or that pitch. And me personally, I'm a big defensive person, regardless of the sport. I'm the defensive guy at the office. I love low scoring, hard fought games, pretty much in any sport. And that kind of talk will get you run out of Richmond County. But, I'll say that anyway, because here in Rockingham, they like to score in everything. So I'm a very big defensive person. So, I appreciate a lot of those comments there on fundamentals and things, because I think those are important too. So we'll kind of wrap up, get close to a close here. So let's give y'all a chance. Do you have any closing thoughts, any things you want to say about specifically about some players or your team activities this year? What are your thoughts in terms of any maybe postponements or future dead periods? I know high school sports have already been pushed back to September 1st. Does that give y'all more time to play, less time to play? I don't know how really that affects your schedule, because I know you guys usually play all the time anyway. So what are you kind of looking at going forward in terms of maybe things you want to plan? I know we've talked about some future tournaments, but tell us a little about your players and some of the ones you're trying to move up, and maybe some of your highlight moments and things like that. Just share a little bit about your programs.
All right, somebody else.
That's a big wild question. So help us, anything you want to talk about as we close it.
I wouldn't step up. I'll just say that I don't think it's going to have a big impact on us, unless, of course, the COVID, unknown about the future of COVID, and if that sort of makes less opportunities to play because of different areas not allowing ball to be played. But I will say that, as Neil mentioned earlier, we have several girls on our team committed already. That's been a blessing right there. Also, we have several girls that are being looked at by college coaches, or speaking with us, about certain players on our teams. And I think, like Robert said, we have a mixture of players, different ages, and so we have several younger players who are really being looked at right now by college coaches. And what's really neat now is that I meant to mention it earlier, Deon, but they have athletes still live. Where a lot of the games are actually also, they got behind the fence, they have actually cameras up, and they're actually on. Games are actually online. So college coaches are there, but some who can't be there, or in dead periods, that type of thing, they can at least have access online if they so choose to watch those games. And again, it's just a blessing, to be honest with you, to be able to play ball and coach these young ladies, and be around their families, develop relationships, and just see them mature and grow, and both as athletes, but most important as young ladies, as future citizens. They'll be the future doctors and the lawyers and the healthcare workers for all of us one day, right?
That's right. Yeah, I don't foresee a whole lot of changes unless we end up in another shutdown, which I'm hoping and praying that does not happen. I'm ready for life to get back to normal. I don't like the term new normal. I want it back the way it was. But we're just going to keep plugging away, doing what we do. We do have a couple of kids that will be leaving us in a couple of weeks to start their college career, however that may look at this point in time. But we've still got the bulk of our kids are like I say, rising 10th graders. I've got three rising juniors. So, you know, what that junior class is experiencing right now is tough. You know, supposedly with the original rules that September 1, they should have been able to start conversations with these college coaches. Well, you know, that's changed. Now they're looking at potentially January 1. I was on a conference call, a grassroots conference call the other day with the NFCA, and there's a proposal that they're talking possibly July 1 for this junior class. So, you know, these kids are in a unique, challenging situation that we as coaches are trying to figure it out as we go along to give them the best opportunity for success. So we're going to continue plugging away, practicing, working on fundamentals like we've talked about. Anytime we can step on a field, we're going to get to a field and try to make the best of it.
All right, Robert, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, we're a younger group, so a lot of our girls aren't really into the whole recruitment thing. But I would like to congratulate one of our seniors. She was offered a scholarship to play for the University of Alabama.
Wow.
And it really set the tone for the group of girls. You know, reality is they're not all going to go D1. There's D2, D3, JUCO. But it kind of set the tone for, you know, hey, if this is your dream, if this is what you want to do, you know, you can do it. You can reach it. And I just want to congratulate her. Her name is Emily, and her family, and they're real dedicated parents. She's a real dedicated ball player. It's absolute whiz academically. I mean, just all out great kid. And for us, you know, that's a great beginning. And we're really proud of her. Parents are real proud of her. And hopefully in the near future, maybe another one. So, and that's what we're striving for. And I wish them all the best, especially with Neil's group and Dover's group. You know, wish the girls all the best. And that's about it. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'll say this. You said your players are younger and not really involved in the whole recruiting process. But I'm going to tell you that, you know, that visit I went and I spoke to some of your players. You had several Florida Gators already in there. I mean, already planning to go and attend and play there. So I love the fact that you all instill in them at a very young age the importance of, you know, making that commitment so that they can go to school one day. Because, I mean, you know, most kids, unfortunately, whether athletics or no athletics, don't really think about college until their 11th grade, maybe 10th, 11th grade. So, you know, I love the fact that they're already thinking about that and making plans. You know, I'm going to the University of Florida when I graduate, and, you know, you're in the 8th grade. That's awesome to me. So I appreciate y'all putting importance on that. Well, I want to thank y'all again for joining me, and thanks for sharing a little bit about your programs. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up because we're kind of at our closing time here. But again, I really appreciate you. So with us today was Rob Ramos, Neil Smith, and Jamie Dover, local softball coaches, sharing a little bit of information about their programs. If you want to know more, reach out to the Richmond Observer. We'll make sure we can get you in contact with them and let you know what kind of things they have going on. But thanks again for watching. Thanks for the thanks to Richmond Community College, for sponsoring this week's ROSports show. And we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.